This thing on? Hello, everybody. How are you this evening? Good. I'd like to thank former council member Roundtree for the weather. I put him in charge of that tonight. So we're very pleased that we can do this outside and get as many people out as really want to be out and have a conversation. Introduce myself, Robert Simonson, mayor for the last 15 months, and excited to be out here doing things in person with the community again. And I know you all have probably been out here on this golf course all year from that standpoint, enjoying it. And we're glad that the city is once again in a more um, vested partnership role for this facility. So tonight, I want to start by saying thank you to City Council. And we have Brad Hoagland here in the back. But we wouldn't be here without City Council agreeing that there's an investment that need to be made in this facility in a partnership that was created over the last year with the Western Ada Recreation District. So we can really be moving forward on this facility. And so, Brad, thank you for being here. And if, we may get a few other council members here as well. And from that standpoint, I want to just introduce a few people that, quite frankly, you probably already all know, but Ryan Roberts, the PGA general manager out here. Ryan, if you can raise your hand. There you go. And Chris Cuney, the Lakeview Golf Club manager. Chris. Oh, okay. From that standpoint. And I also want to just say thank you to Sean Evans and the Meridian Chamber of Commerce for allowing us to use their equipment out here as we've been transitioning into some more remote opportunities, trying to use equipment that really can work on the streaming platform so the whole community can be there. We are streaming on Facebook. This over to our subject matter experts from the city, and I'm going to introduce Steve Sidaway, who's going to come up, our Parks and Recreation Director, and Mike Barton. The two of them will be kind of leading us through this evening and take it from there. And just want to also say hello to former Mayor Tammy and Jan, as well as Sean Wardle with the Western Ada Recreation District, who really is the impetus behind this conversation that we had 17, 18 months ago to be here today. So Steve, turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor Simonson. And it's a pleasure to be out here tonight. Thank you, Charlie Roundtree, for the weather. Really appreciate it. It's beautiful. Bluebird Day. And I know that I'm going to lead off with just some initial remarks, and then I'm going to turn it over to Mike to get to the meat of what I know you're all interested to hear, and that is the transition and the golf course and the master plan. But let me start off with a few thank yous myself. I want to thank the Western Ada Recreation District, first of all, for making this partnership possible with us. I also want to thank Kemper Sports, who has partnered with us for the operation of the golf course. They came in and took over all the existing staff and are helping with the management. And third, I just want to thank the wonderful staff that have kept everything going out here and have such an increasing focus on customer service and making things great for our customers. Lastly, I want to thank all the citizens who have taken surveys already, responded to those surveys that have gone out, given us feedback, who have spent time on some of the phone interviews with our consultant and are helping us to build a master plan for a better future out here. Just a few quick non-golf related updates from Parks and Recreation that I want to just let everyone know about while I've got you here. The first, we're starting to get back to events, which is nice. There's still, cautiously opening with some protocols and things to keep people safe. But starting the first week of May, We're bringing back Unplug and Be Outside Week, which has been a favorite in the community for many years. It has a variety of free classes in art, sports, and recreation that includes classes for everything from tennis, family improv, to outdoor photography. And if you're not quite ready for a class yet, that's also okay. We also have a variety of ideas for self-guided activities. You can go out and discover the new story trail at Kleiner Park, discover one of our outdoor gyms or our fishing ponds, and many more activities on the website. If you're interested in more information about Unplug and Be Outside Week, just go to www.meridiancity.org/unplug. Our summer activity guide is also out, and it's on our website and ready and waiting for you and for registrations. We have classes and camps for kids. We've got activities for teens and a variety of classes for adults and seniors. Everything from pottery to dance to yoga to drawing to martial arts. There's something for everyone in that activity guide. And you can find that also at www.meridiancity.org, but then /activity guide if you're interested in that. Two quick highlights on our park side. About 18 months ago, we opened our first phase of Discovery Park, our new big regional park in South Meridian, comparable to Settlers Park in the north or Kleiner Park. And that's been a wonderful addition to our park system. We only opened about 26 acres of what will eventually be a 70-acre or more park. And we are working on plans now for phase 2. In fact, just last night, we took to City Council our concept plans for that next phase, which includes things like an active area with pickleball, which I know there's a lot of interest in, and basketball, a teen area with a skate park, completing our softball complex that we've started out there in phase 1, and a future bike park as well. Pending funding approval through the later funding process that's coming this summer, we would hope to break ground about a year from now on the second phase and have it open by late summer or fall of 2023. So watch for more information about this great new park. We're excited to open new parks and facilities to our growing community. The last item I want to mention, and then we'll get on to the golf, is pathways. Pathways continue to be a #1 priority for our community residents as a whole. We hear a lot about people's desires for more pathways, and we have a lot of pathway projects going on. I'm just going to mention one tonight because it's not far from here. On 10 Mile Road, just north of Ustick, we're building a new trailhead for the 5 Mile Creek Pathway. And it's just about finished. The construction's been wrapping up recently. Some benches and landscaping were added, and we're looking forward to opening it this spring. So with that, I want to introduce Mike Barton. He is our park superintendent, and I owe him a huge debt of gratitude for doing a lot of the heavy lifting to make this transition as smooth as it has been. So I know there's many hands involved, but I just want to publicly thank Mike for his work on this. And Mike, I'll turn it over to you. Thanks.
Thanks, Steve. You know, one of the best things about being out here, aside from the weather that Charlie's in charge of, and I think you got this weekend too, right? No? Oh, no, okay. Is just the fact that we're all together. And, you know, we're able to do this because if we were out here last year, this wouldn't happen in this type of a venue. So it's really exciting to see people together and see faces again. And we're really happy about that. So what I'd like to do is just go back a little bit and provide a little bit of history about how we got here, some of the timeline, and I want to cover, you know, current things that we're working on today, and then a lot of the plans for the future. So early last year, the city has owned the property that the golf course sits on. That was built in 2 phases. The first phase was built in 1978, and then the second phase came, I think, about 10 or so years later. And the golf course has always been leased to an independent operator. This is through the years, and I think there's been a couple of operators. The clubhouse was one of the improvements they did. The maintenance building was another improvement. Um, but over time, there wasn't a lot of investment made to the golf course. So these are huge assets, really. I mean, to put this clubhouse in and to put the cart barn underneath and the maintenance building, it's a tremendous asset. I mean, this patio, one of the things that we continue to hear in our surveys is how cool it is back here. And it's got the right exposure. It's out of the wind and the sun, and it makes for a terrific venue. Um, so the golf course has been leased to that operator over time. Well, early last year, the operator wanted to transition out of the business. So we saw, and actually Western Ada Recreation District saw an opportunity to purchase those assets and bring them into the public, under the public control. So now that those assets and the property and the assets together are in the public venue, investments can be made in the facility where some have been deferred over time. So through conversations last summer with the Western Ada Recreation District and Eric Ohas, the former operator, there was an agreement reached to purchase the assets and then bring the city in to operate the golf course for a period of 3 years, at which time all the assets then transfer to the city. So all of this happened in a period of about 6 months. And so we were kind of scratching our heads to try to figure out what the best way to complete the transition. And one of the things that came to us is that we really needed the help of a professional management company that is in the golf business in such a short period of time. I mean, our goals were a seamless transition, so nobody saw any difference in the operation. We almost completed that. There was about a 1-month gap in the liquor license transfer. We wanted to retain the existing staff here because the existing staff takes such pride and ownership in the golf course. I mean, it's just obvious in the number of years that they've been here. So we wanted to have a seamless transition. We didn't want to see any changes. We wanted to keep the existing staff on board. And then what we wanted to do is take a step back and evaluate where changes could be made and what the proper procedure would be to identify what those changes are. So with the help of Kemper Sports Management, we were able to complete that transition, retain the employees, and then also start making these incremental improvements. Because prior to the golf course, I mean, we were busy doing other things. And not only that, we're not golf professionals. We're learning, we're drinking from the fire hose, and we learn something every single day. It's a fun atmosphere to be around. I mean, I personally love it. I golf. I'm horrible, but it's just a fun atmosphere to be around. So, in addition to bringing Kemper Sports on, what we wanted to do is to bring in the National Golf Foundation to start the process of developing what we're calling a master plan. But really, the master plan is a strategic plan that really covers a number of things. From we wanted to have an independent consultant look at golf operations and maintenance. We wanted to look at the operating structure, do a complete market analysis, look at revenue opportunities, financial projections. And then one of the most important things is that we wanted them to put together a capital improvement plan for the needed improvements. So we do, at this point, we have a draft capital improvement plan, and it's not a real surprise what's in that. I know that there's been a lot of talk over the years about the condition of the irrigation system, and that came. I mean, we expected that, and their findings revealed that. In addition to that, there's a number of items that we're considering startup costs, and one of those startup costs that revealed itself was the condition of the existing fleet of carts. And carts are very customer facing. They're they're also a revenue generator. We were out here. There was a couple of Indian summer days in early November when we took over, and there was a lot of people wanted to get out and play those last couple of rounds before the weather turned, and the course ran out of carts. We had to turn people away. So we did get approval from City Council 2 weeks ago to purchase a new fleet of golf carts. There will be 54 golf carts showing up. There's kind of a long lead time, but we're expecting them to be here right around the 1st of July. So in addition to that, the condition of some of the maintenance equipment was horrible. And, the maintenance equipment continuing to break down not only causes playing conditions to deteriorate, but it also, it takes staff time to make repairs. It costs money to make repairs. A proper fleet of maintenance equipment is crucial to a golf course. So we've identified those startup costs. We've identified some capital improvements, and I think that there's probably a lot of them that are fairly obvious to everybody. That there's tees and there's greens and some of the safety items like bridges, and there's some ADA compliance. Those are all things that we're putting together on a list. We're prioritizing that list right now, and there are really three categories that we see. There's items that we got to have, there's things that we should have, and there's things that would be nice to have. So, the nice to have are obviously way in the future. As funding becomes available, as the course becomes more profitable, those are all things that will be noticeable and will be put back into the golf course. And that's the exciting part about it being within the public control now, is that whatever revenue is generated from the golf course goes back into the course. It doesn't go to an operator's salary or something like that. So, so with the National Golf Foundation that's currently working on some of those items, they did complete a survey, because one of the things that we wanted to do is we wanted to hear from you guys. We wanted to hear from the people that use the golf course. We want to hear from golfers. We also want to hear from non-golfers. Why don't you come here? Those are items that even if you're a non-golfer, we'd love to have you in here and experience the food and beverage operation. So some of those initial surveys that came out, like I said, there weren't many. There were a few surprises, and there were some revealing things. I'll go down a really brief list, but fix the irrigation system, dry spots on the fairways, stop watering the sand traps. I mean, it's okay. If you overspray the sand trap, you water it. So it might be a drainage thing, but it's on the list. Cart path improvements is one. Those are one of those things that are on the list in the should have category. There's an allowance in there that's currently unfunded, but it's on the list. Golf cart improvements, I went over that. New fleet of carts, golf course marshals to monitor the pace of play, dogs, and other rules. I've taken a lot of calls from people over the last several months, and I've enjoyed all the calls. But there are dogs and there's other bad behavior that a more robust program of golf assistant or a golf marshal program would help. We want pace of play to be right. We don't want people retrieving golf balls out of yards. We don't want people hitting beyond their capabilities so they hit houses. You know, do we try to minimize that the best we can? It's never going to go away. But so we have a volunteer coordinator that works in our department, and she's already met with Ryan to develop a strategy that we can get a more robust golf marshal or golf assistant program in. And there's actually we're talking about a golf benefit that goes with it. So it's not 100% volunteer program. So that's pretty exciting. One of the things that was on the list is goose control. So we started, we have a guy that uses a couple of border collies to chase geese in our parks, and we brought him out here to start that this winter, because there's nothing more annoying than picking up a golf ball and trying to find it amongst goose droppings that don't go away for months and months and months. If you're not mowing, they're going to stay there for months. So improve the tree maintenance. Yeah. Our arborist has an intern from CWI that's currently doing a tree inventory out here, that's putting all of the trees, the diameter of the trees, the tree species, into our software program that monitors that at least we get them on an inventory. As that person's going around, you might have seen them. They're also making notes on any pest problems that they might have. There's several trees that have pest problems out here that will be taken care of. I mean, trees are a huge asset. We want them to grow. Some of them are very important for shade and blocking errant shots, and we want those trees to be healthy. The landscape debris pile was an issue that's over on 15. I think that's gone. 14. Yeah, that's gone. That won't come back. And more stock and a better pro shop. I mean, I think that you've been out here, you've probably seen the noticeable difference in the inventory level in the pro shop. There's displays on the wall. It's a fully stocked pro shop, and if there's event credit, you could actually use your event credit in the pro shop now, because the inventory levels are up there. So those are some of the things that we've heard that we're working on. You know, but what we want to do is we want to hear additional comments from you. We want to hear if you have any questions, if you have any concerns, you can bring those up now. If it's better to do that in a more discreet way, we have a comment card that's right here on the back table. You're welcome to put your name, your email address, and your telephone number on there. Just write down what the concern is. There may be concerns that come up tonight that we can't solve tonight, because a lot of them are complex issues that we'll need to collaborate with staff. We'll need to, they may have financial implications. But if you fill out a comment card and give us your name and address, we will follow up on it. And I will personally call you or email you with whatever we found, whatever the solution is, or there may not be a solution. It may be something that we just can't do for whatever reason, but we want to hear it. Like I said, we want to hear from everyone tonight. So the next steps are completing the golf course master plan. There's a survey that's live right now, because we want that feedback. There's a flyer on the back table along with the comment card, and it says NGF. We want to hear from you. So grab one of those. There's a link to the survey. You go to meridiancity.org/Lakeview, and there's a link to that. So the next step for this is we're in full spring operations. The staff has done a great job managing some of the turnover in the food and beverage area. They've recently made some really exciting hires with new cooks, and we're getting staffed up in that regard. I mean, it was so bad there for a while that we had to stop serving breakfast, but it's back to full operation, I believe. Um, so complete the master plan, and that should be right around the middle of the month, and then we'll have ongoing conversations with the city council regarding capital improvements and just the findings of the master plan. But I think right now I would like to open it up to any questions that you might have.
Other than the golf
Sir?
cart, other than the golf carts, which are currently on order,
Yeah.
what are the top 3 priorities in the next 12 months for the course?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the top 3 priorities are those startup costs, and it's golf carts, it's maintenance equipment, and it's irrigation system improvements. I would say the next tier down is one of the reoccurring themes is the condition of the tees and the fact that they're really not level. Some of them have a crown in them. We think that might be something with the right staff out here that we can do during this shoulder season, where you can just move the tee down onto the fairway and you can rebuild it in house. So without putting a lot of money into it, we might be able to accelerate that. But the top 3 priorities are golf carts, maintenance equipment, irrigation system. Yes, sir.
Well, first a comment. I just want to say that the city Parks and Rec Department is fantastic. I think when you go to any of your parks, you guys just do a fantastic job. And we're hoping to see the same thing here. We know that this clubhouse needs major capital improvements. We know the city has limitations also. But some of the things I didn't hear was curious about, since we're asking about questions, is the outhouses that we have at certain courses here or on certain holes. And the second is about, I heard we're going to have a marshal, but are they going to start helping to educate and secure and require people have some golf etiquette on the course? I walked off my patio the other day, just last week, and walked on to hole 2 and on the green, and told the young ladies that their golf cart in the middle of the green was inappropriate. In most places, you'd be kicked off. So we see that. We see a lot of that. We don't see anybody fixing divots. I think we need to own this just as much as you guys own it. I really, really, truly appreciate you guys taking the effort and really doing a great job, or trying to do a great job here. I'm expecting great things, but those are 2 of the things that I'm looking forward to besides the other priorities. So anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I appreciate that feedback. That's really, really good. Thank you for the comment. And the marshals will be a buddy educator first. And I think that there's people that play golf and that come out, and they may come out for the first or second time that don't know, they're unaware of the etiquette. And I think that some of that can help quite a bit, and it's just a lack of knowledge.
Oh, I think okay. Just wondering, what are the plans for the restaurant? Are you looking to continue to serve like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or do you have any information on that?
Yeah, yes, continue to serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner. There's been recent stories in the news about the shortage of cooks right now. There's several reasons that are contributing to that, but one of them is that COVID was so brutal on the restaurant industry that some of those workers went elsewhere and they're just unavailable. But Ryan, we're fully staffed and we're ready to rock and roll. This gentleman right here. Yeah.
Yeah, we have, up in McCall, I'm on the advisory committee, the golf advisory committee for the city of McCall. And we just finished a master plan up there. The thing about McCall is we've got a 7-month playing time. Meridian has like maybe 12 months or 11 months. But one of the things that we have a problem with, the advisory committee, you know, we try to give some good input to the city, but they expect the golf course to kind of pay for itself. So the city isn't willing to, you know, to really fund the master plan like it needs to be funded. And, you know, we can talk to them all day about, hey, we need this much money, but the golf course isn't going to fund itself. I'm not sure that this golf course can fund itself either. So we need a commitment from the city to put some money into getting things done. And, you know, you can talk about, you know, doing in the next, you know, okay, we've got the master plan, here's what's going to be done, but let's see some, you know, some improvement. I mean, you know, initially and stuff, and with the equipment maintenance and stuff, they've got, you know, they just leased all new equipment in McCall and got a great deal and stuff. So those are things that I think you need to look into. And as far as the driving range and stuff, I mean, people shouldn't be hitting off of what you're standing on right now, as far as the driving range is concerned. So anyway, that's my 2 bits.
Thank you. I think that's great. You should call me sometime and we could have a conversation about the work you're doing in McCall.
Question about Kemper. What's the foreseeable future? Is there any reason why that money shouldn't be spent on the course with the management that's here and let them run the course and not waste that money on somebody that's across the country?
It's a good question, and it's a fair question. So part of what Kemper is doing for us currently is they're doing all the financials and they're doing the payroll, and so that's something that the city cannot absorb. So that would require additional staff. That staff would likely be coded to the golf course. But one of the things that we are looking at during the master plan process is to that long-term operation. What does it look like? I mean, right now, we have a 6-month agreement with Kemper that just expired. Past that, they're month to month. So we haven't entered into a 3-year or a 5-year agreement. Right now they're month to month. They're not going anywhere tomorrow. But those are conversations that we're going to have, that what is the best, most profitable long-term management scenario for the golf course. I love, that's a great question. I love it. That's awesome.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. Do we have actual records of how much we are paying Kemper? Is that public knowledge?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm not.
You got more?
Yeah, I just don't want to bombard them. So is that something you can share with us, or is that
Sure, it's 9,000 a month.
okay?
And,
So-
and they do all the accounting, all the financial information, all the payroll. They have oversight in the food and beverage. They have oversight over marketing. They have oversight over the pro shop and the golf operations, as well as the maintenance operation.
So where does the city fall? So if Kemper comes in and makes rules and regulations, does the city have any say over that, or is Kemper kind of the buck stops with Kemper?
Nope. The city has 100% say.
Okay.
Kemper
So
can't go purchase things. Kemper can't go and make a rule or a policy. I know Ryan meets with Kemper on a weekly basis. I meet with Ryan on a weekly basis. We have bi-weekly meetings with Kemper that sometimes go for 3 or 4 hours. We talk about a lot of different policies. We talk about revenue forecasts. We talk about just everything.
So the only rule that I've heard grumblings about that doesn't make sense to me is, I guess, if you're an employee here, when it's your day off, you can't have alcoholic beverages here on the course.
Correct.
So what's the logic behind that? Because I've already heard that there's a couple people, my badge off, I can have a beverage. So what's the logic behind that?
So the logic behind that is that people would Kemper Sports manages over 130 golf courses, and they also manage, along with that goes a lot of food and beverage operations, and they've made a company policy to not allow that because people will drink too much at the bar, and it's not a good representation of the facility or the company on a personal level. I mean, I can get more information if you could you please fill out a comment card, and then I can follow up with, I mean, I actually agree, because I don't want somebody that had a bad day at work airing their grievances or their issues with people that are visiting the golf course. And that tends to maybe come out a little bit more as they relax a little bit more.
Along with that, I mean, we're different than, you say you have say in it, but there's people that have worked here for years and years and years, and they live on the course, and you're not allowing them to. It really discriminates people coming into work if they can enjoy golf on the weekends and just. I mean, that's a national thing you're saying, but here in Meridian and Idaho, we're kind of responsible and take care of ourselves. In our opinion here. So
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
going with that.
No, I appreciate it. I mean, we can certainly have more conversations, and I would say, fill out a card. Let me look into it, because I know there's more to it than what I'm bringing up. But just the concept of not having employees drink where they work, I personally go along with, and I'll have a beer with anybody, but I will not drink where I work. Me personally.
They can't have a beer.
Yeah.
So you're a city employee. That says that if you're not at work, you're in the city of Meridian, so you need to go outside Meridian to have a beer, because this is your whole territory.
No, not necessarily. It would be in a park. It would be in a park, because the entire city is not public property. But let me get some better answers for you. I appreciate you bringing it up.
Too. I mean, we've got some of the staff here that's worked. I mean, I would imagine Paula's been here 35 straight days of work, right? She is used to, after her shift is over, sitting down and having a beer with some of us that love her and appreciate her. Rachel applies to Tyler, applies to most of the folks that work here, right? And after 35 straight days, I would personally think she deserves to have a beer with the rest of her friends at the course at that point in time. So I think that's where our concern is for the folks that we meet with on a daily basis and that take such good care of us.
I appreciate your opinion, and that there could be some liability issues or liability reasons behind that I'm unaware of, but I'd like to get more information to you.
I'd like to know is in the marketing plan, are they doing anything to attract youth? Youth? Younger
Well,
golfers?
Yeah, Ryan is probably best suited for that question. Um, Tim, could you hand Brian the microphone, please?
Yes, we have plenty of junior golf operations and we do market to a lot. We have PGA Junior League here. We have Operation 36. We have PGA Junior Camps, TGA Junior Camps. We have Get Golf Ready. We have a lot of programs that we offer here.
So my question is, are the employees of the clubhouse employees of Kemper or are they employees of the city?
They are employees of Kemper Sports.
So if Kemper Sports is on a month to month, that could create issues when you transition. I mean, you basically lose all your employees as you,
So
because that's one of my concerns. When you say that you don't have a long-term contract, but yet all of the people who work here work for Kemper.
they will either be Kemper employees or the employees of the city of Meridian. They will not go anywhere. If they're doing their job and they're doing a good job, they're not going anywhere. And in fact, on that note, just this spring, they were one of the things that we discovered is that they were grossly underpaid. And so we brought all the employees back up to what we feel is a market range, because they just, they need that. And during the time that there was no liquor license, they rely on those tips. We increased their hourly wage to make up for the lack of tips.
I guess my thought on that, paying Kemper $9,000 a month. We have a lot of unemployed people here in Idaho that probably appreciate a job, and we're sending that money out of state to a major corporation that really doesn't even know us at all. I just kind of think that money could be better spent on local people doing that job.
If you know of anybody that needs a job, go to the Lakeview website. Lakeview's hiring.
All right, since we have an open space, is taking care of the local outhouses on these courses on somewhere on the priority list?
Could you be more specific, like more servicing or on-course
Well,
built-in
I think they're
restrooms?
getting close to being a hazmat area, but
Okay.
I would encourage them to, they could not only be cleaned a lot better, they could be enhanced, they can be improved, or actually putting a permanent facility in there. But I know you're limited on dollars,
Yep.
so.
But one of the things we do have, the on-course restroom on 11, I think it is. There's an immediate need for ADA compliance in that restroom. In the long term, be nice to have would be another on-course restroom. But in the meantime, we'll get rid of the hazmat situation.
You speak of the master plan being currently in its draft stage. Is that available for review, or will we not be able to see it until it's finalized?
That's a good question. I'm curious how we would get it out to you. Can you give me your email address? I think we can, once there is a draft, we have a website that's Meridian City /Lakeview, and I could see us posting a copy on that. But if you give me your email address, I'll make sure you get one.
kind of touch a little bit more on the restrooms on the golf course here. There are a couple trouble spots on the golf course where urination happens. It's been addressed multiple times here, but is signage appropriate at this point here to try and to prevent? Can signage be provided here to prevent this ongoing problem that's happening here on the golf course? We are established that the houses definitely need to be. All right.
I think our technology might
Definitely,
be,
we
might
definitely
be
have an
failing
issue with
us.
the outhouses, but it needs to say here, we're always going to deal with etiquette here from, top of the list here, if you will, with that type of behavior, as well as ensuring that the golf course is handling that situation appropriately, as opposed to the normal slap on the hand, type of remedy that they've been doing here.
Thank you.
Where?
So there are, I don't know, 6 subdivisions that border the golf course. Obviously, each one of those subdivisions has their own CCRs. Is the city, most golf communities have a master community plan. Is there any intention or thoughts around doing anything around that, around the community?
Oh, and merging all the HOAs?
I don't know that it would need to be merged.
I'm not-
I mean, my
because-
HOA dues are really low, so no, I don't
Yeah,
want
no.
to merge.
Yeah. No,
I mean, just being honest, but
so the
I
ci-
do think that there's different levels of expectation. Does that make sense? Do you know what I'm saying? That
yeah,
that
so-
there's these different levels of expectation of what the yards what some CCNR requirements might be to maintain the level of
Yeah.
excellence. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense, and we are not going to get involved in any neighborhood associations and CCNRs. No. Thank you, though.
You talked about your 3 priorities being the golf carts, the lawn equipment, and the irrigation. The irrigation answer was a little vague. What is like the specific improvements? Is that happening over a 3-year period, a 1-year period? What is that, and what are the priorities with the irrigation?
That's a great question. I love that question. So the front 9 is in worse shape or in better shape than the back 9. So it's our goal to get, and a design for a complete irrigation system on the golf course, and then bid as much as we can. I mean, the heart of any golf course is the pump system and the pump station. The pump station over there is an absolute relic. It's terrible. It doesn't flow manage. It's either on or off, which causes a lot of broken lines. If you just start your car up in the morning and floor it, you're going to damage your car, and it's not any different with the irrigation system. So the pump station has to be replaced. There's no flow management. There's no variable speeds on the pump. So if there's a certain demand, it can slowly ramp up and then slowly ramp down, saves electricity, less wear and tear on your equipment. Beyond that, it's main lines and satellites. And, like we do with all our parks, we'll put it on a satellite that can sync to weather stations. So you can get evapotranspiration rates and you can get your refill capacities. So you're not overwatering, you're not underwatering. I mean, those are all just things that golf courses do. So, in my mind, that's what it is. Of course, that we don't have any bids for all that yet. So we'll see where that goes.
So going back to the carts, was there an analysis done leasing versus buying outright? And if we did buy them outright, are you paying cash for them? Or are you financing them?
So, the city doesn't lease things historically. We are buying them outright. We got a better price, and in the long run, they're cheaper to buy than they are to lease.
Going back to the irrigation, we'd all like to hear when that would be started, because that's been a problem here for years. But the water isn't going to just fix some of the problems on the conditions of the course. They've been dragging hoses out here for as long as Wes has been here, and I think Wes knew Moses. So,
Yeah.
so you can drag water out here and improve the irrigation system, but until you pump or you punch the fairways as well as the greens, you work on the collars, you've got to turn some of that soil over out there, because it is so hard. It won't grow grass. It just won't. And there are companies out there that specialize, as well for aerating fairways as well as greens. We all know who some of them are.
Yep.
Hopefully there's a coordination between improving what I call the playability of the course, along with the irrigation to bring this course up. I think everybody would like to see that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. And you know what? 100%. We're on board with that. The greens were punched this spring and sanded. We have a dry jet scheduled for later in the summer. Some of the trouble areas on the fairway were punched, but they haven't been aerated forever. The fertilizer budget I don't even know what it was, but I can tell you that it wasn't very healthy. So, good fertilizer, punching the greens. One thing that we have done this spring is we have a agronomist that does soil samples. So we want to pull those cores. We want to send them into the laboratory so we know exactly where the deficiencies are, because we don't want to just start adding inputs to the grass that may be either exacerbating a problem or not correcting a certain deficiency. So we do that with all our parks. We take those core samples. We get a report on, it may be nitrogen, it may be iron applications, it could be gypsum, it could be, increased aeration. It could be aeration and top dressing on the fairways to relieve compaction, where there could be some compost added. There's a bunch of stuff. We're just now digging in. We've been here for 6 months. Most of that during that time, the golf course has been asleep. And so we're just now digging in. We're excited about it. And we look forward to good things. Sure. Yeah. Thank you guys for your time. Appreciate it.
What I hope you learned this evening is the city's committed to this course's future. Mike and his team do an amazing job. They are learning as we move, but we're committed to seeing those investments. We're under at least I'm under no assumption that this course at this time can pay for all that reinvestment that's needed. There will need to be city dollars put in over time as we can afford, along with all of our other priorities. But we do have money that we've initially set aside in our CFP, our financial plan that looks at what we need for fire stations, for police stations, for all the services we provide. And as we adjust our revenue every year that we receive from the state or from property taxes, whatever that is, we will continue to look and see how the course is doing, its needs, and make recommendations for reinvestment in that. Ultimately, yeah, we want the course to pay for itself in terms of its ongoing operational needs. And if we can go above and beyond that to see quicker reinvestment into the course, that's a great opportunity for us to achieve. So that's what we're going to be focusing on, is making this course playable, profitable, and a great community asset for those that live around here. But we want to pull people to not just live around here. I live in Tuscany. You know, what's going to get me to drive over here to come play Lakeview is a great experience. And I want to do that. I do it on occasion, but I want to do it more from that standpoint. The other thing I would just want to point out, hopefully if you're not on Nextdoor, you can get on Nextdoor. We want you to be in connection with what the city is saying. I'm sure you all get a lot of information from one another, but if you ever want to get what's really occurring and up to date, we hope that you will pay attention to what goes out on Nextdoor. Go to the website of meridiancity.org, Lakeview. Get on the mailing list so that you hear from the city what is occurring. And if you're hearing something from a neighbor that doesn't seem right, as Mike said, pick up the phone, call him, pick up and call the mayor's office. Let us convey to you what is occurring as necessary. Hearing from somebody, you know, as you're going around on the 9th hole and someone tells you something about what they heard, hear from us. If that's all we're going to ask, because there's a lot of work that needs to be done out here and there needs to be a lot of communication. And we want you to hear from us so that we can tell you, yes, we went to council with money for the irrigation and they approved it, or they didn't, you know, whatever that may be, so that we can help be in good communication with you. So with that, I'm sure there's people around here. We have a lot of other people here this evening, not just from our Parks Department. We got our police, our fire, our legal, a lot of other people. So if you have any other questions about the city, we're happy to stay and mingle for a few minutes if you want to come up and ask. There's a list over there with upcoming events. You know, we do have the farmers market coming back this year in downtown. So it's a great time to get re-engaged with what's going on. And there's a list of events over there on the table. So with that, I'm going to say thank you for everyone coming out, and here's to the future of Lakeview. Thanks.